Baseball has the World Series, football has the Super Bowl, and road racing has the NASA Championships. The nation's best amateur racers have gathered at Miller Motorsports Park for a single winner-take-all shootout. The 8th Annual National Autosport Association National Championships presented by Toyo Tires is next on Speedcast TV. Our first national championship race set to go off here as cars making their way out onto the racetrack. Again, this is GTS. We'll see GTS, German Touring Series cars 2 through 5. So a big discrepancy between the 2s and the 5s. You said it's all comes down to horsepower versus weight. So the 5 cars will be the fastest ones out on the racetrack as they make their way out. And John, real quick before we get to the starting grid, a lot of rain out there. You talked about washing all the rubber off that we've had the last couple days here at Miller Motorsports Park. What can these teams expect right now?
I tell you, it's a crapshoot. We're looking out the windows. We see clouds coming up. I saw a couple teams rolling out rain tires. I visited a little bit with Jay Modis this morning, who's just out of frame right now behind Scott Beauvais in that black Porsche 996, and they were going with wets. Last time I saw them when it was pouring this morning, they had a set of Hoosier wets on there. But Jay was debating whether he wanted to go with slicks or not because the wets are pretty much worthless once the track dries out. We also got some information from a local racer, Cindy Lux, and she said that as soon as that flag on the windsock stops, that the track usually dries out in 2 or 3 laps. So right now we're looking. We don't have anything overhead. I can see the track looks a little bit damp, but with all these cars going around with all the heat and everything, we may see a dry line pretty quick. So it'll be interesting to see who made what choice on tires and see what effect that has and see what Mother Nature has in store for us that will really change the outcome of this competition.
Well, here is your starting grid. It will be a rolling start, and all of these classes kind of littered because it's based on time. So as we run through it, we'll let you know what class each car is. But Peter Spencer will start on the pole for this national championship race. GTS 5 car, he is number 89. To the outside of row number 1 will be Steven Strymer, also a GTS 5 car. You mentioned Scott Beauvais. He'll start third inside row number 2 in the 22 GTS 4 car. Great battle with Jay Modis, who will start to the outside of Beauvais there in row number 2, another GTS 4 car. Row number 3, the 124 of David Lavis, a GTS 5, followed by Daniel Winterberg, who will start outside row number 3 in the 6th spot in the 68, a GTS 4 car. Daryl Troster, another GTS 4 in the 414, will start 7th, followed by the 83 of Ted Barrett, a GTS 5. Then the 39 of Scott Dager, another GTS 5 car, will start 9th. And 10th, the 3 of Michael McLeenan, a GTS 4. And in the 11th spot, Tony Colicchio, a GTS 3 car in the 331.
Next up is Stefan Sajic, a GTS 3 car in 12th position. Then Dan Goodman, GTS 3 as well in the 13th. Next up, Andrew Morton, also GTS 3. Then Rick Barrett, GTS 4. Next up is Garrett Walls, a GTS 3 car. Then Rick Snyder, a GTS 3 car. Next up, Timothy Bidwell, GTS 3. John Allen, also GTS 3 in the 19th spot. 20th, Dick Hunter in the GTS 2 car. Then Gene DeConish, and followed up by Lee Bonning in another GTS 2 car.
So cars forming up 2 by 2 behind the pace vehicle, and a pretty awesome pace vehicle we have this weekend, John.
I tell you, you can't beat a Ford GT for a pace car. That's pretty awesome, and you know, usually it's something that doesn't quite have the awesome stature of that car that Ford made for a limited time there. Really sweet car. Miller Motorsports Park has that as one of our pace cars, and just if he can't catch the field, I don't know who can.
And that Ford GT pulls to the infield as cars make their way off turn 15 down to the front straightaways. We get set to kick off day number 2 of the 8th Annual NASA Championships. Green flag is out, and we are racing here with GTS.
And what a start. They're going to have to be a little careful. Cold tires, everything wet. The ABS will definitely be working hard as they come down into this first corner, but we can see the Porsches out there, wipers going furiously. Lights on, and let's see how it works out in this first turn.
Yeah, I would expect everyone to be nice and gingerly here through turn number 1, is giving each other plenty of racing room. I say that, then they go 4 wide there coming off turn 2.
Well, you can't win it in the first corner, but you certainly can lose it, and it looks like they all got through clean. Good heads-up driving from our GTS drivers, so we'll see how it's working out. But Scott Beauvais is mounting a little bit of a charge there. Looks like he was giving some heat to the first two cars. We'll see how that works out.
So everyone trying to find a racing line that'll work for their race car and find some dry track as well, and still side by side. Again, 15 turns here running the outer course, just over 3 miles, and they're starting to get into it pretty early here on this first lap.
Wow, we have a new leader already. So look at these guys. They are really going back and forth already just in this first lap. But also you can see they're tiptoeing around a little bit. Look at that, little wiggle, little wiggle. So they're being careful, but at the same time, they're also being pretty aggressive. Oh, look at that. Did you see that one? That was a nice tank slapper. So that tells us the track is still wet. You can't get on the power yet. But whoo, someone's checking out here. That's good. That's awfully brave in the opening laps here when it's still not dried out. And oh, there's a wiggle. So I bet you he's on slicks. Whoa, another big wiggle.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of standing water out on the racetrack. That is the 331 of Tony Colicchio, who won both of the qualifying events Thursday and Friday. So standing water on some parts of the track, and it looks like other parts of the track are fairly dry. So yeah, this really throwing these guys for a curveball early here on lap number 1.
Now this is very interesting because you notice that the BMWs are taking the top spots here. Now, as a Porsche driver myself, I can tell you that they are very tricky to drive in the wet because of that big chunk of iron that's out behind the rear axle. If you don't have it right, that's going to spin you around, and maybe the BMW setup of the front engine, rear drive, and that maybe better weight distribution is really starting to help the BMWs get out front. First two cars are both BMWs, Tony Colicchio and Michael McLennan.
So as they cross the stripe and complete lap number 1, it is Colicchio out in front in his GTS 3 car. McLennan, as you said, running second on track, leading GTS 4, and then Steven Strymer third on the track, leading GTS 5. So those are your top 3 there crossing the stripe, and Colicchio really got a good start.
That's interesting. Tony Colicchio, he's a GTS 3 car rider. So we have a GTS 3 car leading all the monster GTS 5 cars, so that shows you, I forget which manufacturer it is, but power is nothing without control. So this is Michael McLennan who's coming up, and now he had really done a good job in GTS 4, and he'd been stymied by some mechanical problems, and now he's showing that speed. But here it is. Now these guys I don't think want to get into it too much because you've got GTS 3, GTS 4. Hey, let's just get the heck out of here, check out. We're in different classes. Let's not do anything silly to each other, and let's get out of here and get a good lead built up in case rain comes in. We don't know. I mean, we're looking at the radar. Stuff is over the mountain range, but it looks like they may have made the right call. I'm guessing that those two guys are on slicks because of those little wiggles we see, but I could be wrong.
Well, a lot of the other divisions that we run, you know, we'll see the split starts. We'll see one class, say hypothetically, the GTS 5 cars will start here, and then half a track later you'll see the 4s, and they'll kind of be clumped together, where today everybody was based on time and they all started together. So makes it a little bit more interesting, like you said, and to Colicchio really getting a really good start to jump up front from the 11th starting spot. So he made some moves. Oh, and now we got one off the race course. And I believe that is the 59 of John Allen, GTS 3 driver.
Yeah,
in that M3.
Looks like it just got away from him, but good on him. He's able to get it out, and he didn't get stuck in a sand trap. But take a look now, and we're starting to see dry lines starting to develop in the track. They're getting a little heat in there. They're drying it off with their tires and just the general heat of the car, the friction going down there. So the dry line is starting to develop. Looks like I can't see anything on the radar that's very close. So the folks that may have chosen the slick tires are probably checking out, and maybe the reason we're seeing these big speed differentials is those other cars are all in their lanes and didn't get a chance to change it.
331 of Colicchio crosses the stripe, 2 laps in the books there. Of course, this race, a 45-minute race. Colicchio in the TC Design, number 331. A regular in the NorCal and Utah division.
Looks like Peter Spencer is coming back up the order too. You can see him kicking out a little bit there. Maybe he's coming into his own. Everything's starting to dry out a little bit, and he may have chosen the slick tires as well, and now they're just starting to get enough heat in them. And I'm looking at the radar, and there's stuff that's a little bit around us, but I think we may be clean, maybe dry for the rest of this race. So he's finally gotten some temperature. Slicks don't really work that well when they're wet or if they're cold. And it's only about 60 degrees, 65 degrees out right now, so it's tough to get enough heat in there, but now he must have enough heat in there, and he's starting to charge back up through the field.
That third car in line, the black 171, that is Jay Modis. Dan Goodman up there as well in the 56. Modis, as we talked about, ran second to Beauvais in both the qualifying events. The driver out of Texas, the Porsche 996. We really thought those guys were going to be battling all day long in this race, and you could still see nose to tail, everyone kind of working their way around this racetrack. And, you know, I think some of the guys on that first start, Colicchio for sure, making big moves and thinking, you know what, I think a lot of these other drivers are going to take their time into turn one. It's going to give me a chance to make some big moves, and he did, and it paid off.
Well, and in NorCal, we do see a fair amount of racing in the rain. And if you, there's two schools of thought. I ain't going out there, it's wet, I'm going to kill the car. Or I'm going to go out there and figure out where the wet line is. This morning during practice, it was raining pretty good. And we saw a few cars out in this GTS practice this morning. And those may be the folks that are getting it really dialed in right now, because they chose to go out, figure out where the wet line was, get a little bit of practice, feel out what the car's going to do. And now they're putting on a clinic.
We saw the 59 of Peter Spencer there. The yellow car, our pole sitter.
So there's Jay Modis again, and that is the, is it the 59 or the 89? Looks like the 89 of Peter Spencer.
Yep.
So he and Jay Modis are getting into it a little bit, but remember, those two guys are in different classes. Peter's going to have a bunch of power, but look at Tony Colicchio still just putting it on. Right behind him, we have Michael McLennan, and the two of them are just working together. Two BMWs, both look like, it's like an E36 chassis and E46 chassis M3. Again, those are the motorsport BMWs, very legendary cars. Oh, looks like he's going to come around.
And there goes McLennan. Nice move to the inside, and he will get right on by in that 3 car, drive right by the 331 of Colicchio as they race down into turn 5, coming straight at us on your screen into turn 5, known as Black Rock Hairpin.
Yeah,
pretty hard left-hander.
And the track is really drying out, and now McLennan can use the power, because remember, that's a GTS 4 car, Colicchio's a GTS 3, so McLennan's got a bunch more power. Now that it's dry out, he can really put it to use, and he's putting a nice gap on the rest of the field. So they got some work to do a little bit farther back in GTS 4 and GTS 5. They're both kind of together. There's Peter Spencer, and we've got, let's see, that was David Lavis is right there as well at the next position in GTS 5, so they're both going to have to work it up a little bit. But then again, it really only matters who is in your class, not the overall.
There's a look at Lee Bonning, who finished second in the qualifying race yesterday, on Friday, in that white number 36 BMW M3. He is your leader in GTS 2, as you can see as a ticker up on top of your screen there to let you know where all the drivers are running and who are your leaders for their respective class. And Bonning, who is out of, runs the Central region, runs Utah region, runs the Rocky Mountain region, the Alpine Auto Haas sponsored car. So he's doing a good job right now leading GTS 2. As you can see up top, Michael McLennan there leading GTS 4. Ted Barrett, actually, haven't mentioned the 83. He's leading right now at GTS 5. So Ted Barrett in the 83 car. And then, of course, great battle there, 68.
There's Scott Beauvais, and he has Daniel Winterberg right behind him. Now, Daniel's one that also runs the 25-hour every year, so I've gotten to know him, and he's a hard charger. And Beauvais and Winterberg are right together. Last time, Winterberg was actually about 6-7 tenths faster than Beauvais on that last lap. So all of a sudden, GTS 4 is getting much more interesting for the second and third spots, with Michael McLennan still way out there. But now we're going to have a great battle between Scott Beauvais and Daniel Winterberg. Now, Jay Modis also ran a great time that last lap, so he may be working up there, and we may have a nice 3-car battle there for GTS 4 for the second and third spots on the podium. Looks like Winterberg's trying to come inside there a little bit, filling up Scott Beauvais' mirrors. We'll see how he handles that.
Yeah, Winterberg ran 3rd and 4th in the qualifying race. Of course, Beauvais won both of them, so pretty fast race cars as they'll take a look now to the inside, heading down into turn number 5.
Ooh, I think he got it. He outbraked him.
Yep, outbraked him. Yeah, for sure. Just drove it in there deeper, hit the brakes, and made it move. So he makes the move and gets by Beauvais. So that'll put Winterberg up 1 more spot. And Beauvais not giving up. He's still right there.
And the top 15 cars have just all turned their fastest laps of the race. So it's drying out. You know, we're looking at times. You know, McLennan's last time was a 2:11 versus a 2:01, 2-minute flat that we were seeing there. So everybody's starting to speed up. Track's drying out. Maybe they're finally getting enough temperature in their tires. The guys that I think everybody chose slicks because the only things I can see down on the pit row are the wets. So I think everybody may have chosen the slick tire, and it just took a while to get a little bit of heat into them.
Through turns 8, 9, and 10, known as the attitudes, into the Twella turn, turn 11. Little kink here, turn 12.
Now you got to wonder, Rob. We saw the BMWs were a little bit better in the wet because they didn't have the big momentum of the Porsche. But the Porsche, when it gets dry, having that rear engine planted over those rear wheels, they come out, in like a lamb, out like a lion. They plant those rear wheels and start going. So we got to see if the 911s start coming up through these BMW Motorsport cars as things dry out and they're able to take advantage of that superior traction off the, well, there you go.
Yeah, and you just saw the BMW roll right by that Porsche coming down the front straightaway now. Scott Beauvais still trying to
look at this. Here come the 911s.
Back.
Here they come. So they're hooked up now. The 911s are hooked up, but look at Beauvais. He's going to try an inside line on Daniel Winterberg, just looking, letting him know he's there, maybe feeling out how much traction is there on that inside part of the track. But I think the Porsches are starting to come alive. Looks like we've got a 4-car train of Porsches right behind those 2 BMWs. And they're going to start charging now that maybe they can take advantage of, I've often heard that the 911 is a bad idea overcome by decades of great engineering.
Well, Peter Spencer there, that 3rd car in line, the yellow car that started on the pole, that is a Porsche as well. Lux Performance. Or check that Subway sponsor, number 89.
Yeah, and now Beauvais is looking around. Yeah, it's very interesting to see where, they're looking around. And is this defensive? Is it looking for a move? Is it trying to keep those other cars out so they can't set a pick? Very good racing going on. Very clean so far. There's Jay Modis. He's trying to get up and get at Scott Beauvais and get at Daniel Winterberg to try and get himself on the podium.
That yellow car again is Spencer, the 89, won both the qualifying events. GTS 5. Chasing a pair of GTS 4 cars. Back up through the attitudes. First, second, and bad attitude. Great names here at Miller Motorsports Park on the outer course. A little bit behind that battle. There's that white Porsche again.
There goes Jay Mattis. He's trying to get around a GTS 5 car. That is the car of Ted Barrett, GTS 5. So Jay's trying to get around him now. Hey, I know you got more power, but I got some work to do here. He's got to do some work to catch up and get at that podium battle for GTS 4.
There is that 83 of Ted Barrett. Ran second last year at Mid-Ohio in GTS 5. He was 6th here at Utah back in 2010. Sorry, ran second in 2011 at Mid-Ohio.
And now Jay's getting some pressure too. That's the number 18, I believe.
And here we go, 3 wide, trying to go off turn 15 down the front straightaways. They cross the stripe, now back to single file.
And Jay got by him.
So a nice move there from Modis is now these guys, the leaders, racing down into turn 1, going
just in the corner of the screen, you saw Beauvais trying that inside move. Let's see if he pulls it off. Now we have a drag race, GTS 4 and GTS 5.
And we go back to Dick Hunter now, the new leader in GTS 2. And he's been fast all week as well. A driver out of Texas, BMW 325 IS. There he ran second and won the qualifying event. So as he comes off turn 15 down the front straightaway, he is now leading GTS 2.
Yeah, it looks like he managed to get by Lee Bonning there, and so all of a sudden we're having all kinds of changes happening. Regardless of power level, we have to keep in mind that we have this mix here, so you have to be really respectful. If you have that greater power, it looks like the GTS 5 car, Peter Spencer there, trying to get around these guys. Hey fellas, I have some work to do too, but he doesn't want to interfere with their battle. Very respectful, very heads-up driving, because if you have the superior power and you get in the middle of somebody else's battle, that's just not cool.
And now he shoots to the inside. Right there we saw a lot of standing water, so it's pretty tight racing through there to try and stay on dry racetrack. I don't know if he got the right side tires in some of that standing water, but nonetheless makes the move there, not for position, but gets by the GTS 4 car, and now will try and run down, I believe, Beauvais.
He got in front of Beauvais. Now he needs to get in front of Winterberg there. So he's trying to get past these guys. I bet on the straight he'll be able to do it because he'll be able to put the power down a little better. And again, GTS 5, GTS 4, Peter Spencer should be able to use that power once he gets to the straight to get by Daniel Winterberg.
And he knows this place pretty well. He's leading the Utah regional points in GTS 5, so pick his way here, trying to get underneath off turn 15 down the front straightaway and try and get by Winterberg. Now he'll take a look to the inside as they cross the stripe. They are side by side at the start finish line, so he should be able to make this work down this long 3,500 foot straightaway, and he gets by and makes it stick. So
gets it done.
Now we'll see what kind of time he can turn out with no one in front of him. He is your leader in GTS 5.
We had another car swinging out. Ted Barrett, another GTS 5 car, decided to swing out and try that inside line too, just so he doesn't lose position and get a GTS 4 car. But looks like now he's in between Winterberg and Beauvais. So hopefully then Ted Barrett will be able to get by these guys pretty easily and keep after Peter Spencer in GTS 5.
So much like what Spencer just had to deal with, now he will have to deal with as well, as those guys, you said, racing for position on the racetrack now to the inside as they head into turn number 5. Should be able to make it work, and he will. So the 0-2 of Strymer now gets by and can try and run down.
And you're
Ted
right.
Barrett.
That actually was Steven Strymer. I was calling that incorrectly. So he has come up and now gotten by, and that's our battle for first and second in GTS 5. And then first and second in GTS 4.
Two good battles all over the racetrack.
Oh, excuse me, second and third. Michael McLeenan.
Not necessarily for position, but still great battles on the racetrack. Good side-by-side racing. And Jay Modest now is making some moves.
Here he comes. Here he comes. So Michael McLeenan is still checked out in GTS 4, but now we've got 2, 3, 4 in GTS 4 right there. And all of a sudden, it is on. Look at Jay Modest closing up on Scott Beauvais. He really wants to step on that podium, and I bet he wants the overall, too.
Well, he's been chasing Beauvais all week long. Modest finished second to him in both the qualifying events. He probably doesn't want to finish behind him here in the national title race. So here we go, as we've been watching the GTS 5 cars trying to work their way past the GTS 4 cars. So the top 3 in GTS 5 really here now all in the front straightaway, as there is Modest.
There's our 3-car train for GTS 4. GTS 5 right out in front of them, the leader in second place in GTS 5.
Oh,
now Beauvais is coming out. He's going to try to maybe late break Winterberg. Let's see if he gets it done. Oh, he got it done, but Winterberg comes right inside.
Yeah, he pulled out down the front straightaway very late. Didn't think he was actually going to be able to do it, and they are still side by side.
And Modest is taking advantage of that.
Now. Yeah.
He's coming. He sees these two guys battling. Hey, I'll take that. You guys go ahead, knock yourselves out, and I'll drive right by you.
So that's the 22 of Scott Beauvais from Colorado. Modest back there in the 171, the black Porsche.
Winterberg wants it back. Beauvais says no way. Winterberg tries it again.
We see a little high to the low, and remember this is
contact, little contact. He got into the back of Beauvais.
Beauvais got a little sideways there after the contact, and
but he gathered it up.
I think Winterberg got off the gas and made sure that he didn't further taking that 22 out. So Beauvais remains in the spot, but meanwhile, as Winterberg gets out of the gas, that allows Modest to get by. So here we go. It's again Beauvais and Modest nose to tail.
Yeah, this is Ali Frazier right here. It's going to be a slugfest for these two guys going down into the middle part of this race. So that was, Daniel Winterberg tried to get it done and bonked Beauvais a little bit, and Jay Modest was right there to capitalize on it. So we'll see how this works out. But boy, Jay Modest, dropping back a little bit at the start, and now he is right in there challenging for the second position in GTS 4.
Well, they finished just like this, as I mentioned in the qualifying. They both first, second, both days. And I know Modest certainly wants to get by. And of course, you go back to 2012 at Mid-Ohio. They have a little history. These two drivers ended up with Modest taking a little tumble there.
Yeah, they're buddies, but they did take a little contact there that put Jay Modest on his lid. I remember right into the tire wall at Mid-Ohio and him getting out and just looking around and saying, wow, my car's upside down. But this is the same car. He managed to fix it up. No big damage. It hit the grass there and the tires. Now look at this. Jay Modest is trying that inside line. Scott Beauvais is allowed one move, but will he move over slowly? Yeah, he's moving over slowly. One very long, graceful move.
Yeah.
It's like ballet. Jay tucks in behind him. He couldn't take that inside line away.
Yeah, meanwhile, this is the battle for second and third as they trying to go side by side into Turn 2, GTS 4 battle for second, third, I should say. Your leader in GTS 4, Michael McLeenan, in the 3 car, checked out. He's gone.
And right now, it looks like McLeenan is running lap times of about 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Beauvais, Modis, and Winterberg are all in the 2:07 range. So McLeenan found some speed, and he also has some clear traffic. Remember, when you start battling,
and that's big,
you're going to lose speed.
Yeah,
because you can't take your preferred line. He's got the same advantage that we saw in Spec Miata, in 944 Spec.
Yeah, we
you
saw
get
it
out of the way, you're
yesterday.
clean. You're clean.
You can let these guys, he wanted them to run side by side all the way around the racetrack. That's just going to make your job a lot easier as Beauvais still holds off Modis there. And then, of course, Winterberg right behind him. The 3-car battle, nose to tail. That's for second, third in GTS 4.
And we had predicted earlier that this would be one of the ones to watch, and sure enough, they're paying off. So look at this.
There goes
in,
Modis.
out. Wow, he's all over him.
He's going to take a little look to the inside, thinks against it, and will fall in. Now maybe, again, trying the outside-inside move on Beauvais. Can't make it happen.
Do you want to do our same bet, whether he kicks out in the inside
I
on
think
down the straight?
this could be his chance. I mean, he's very close here as they work their way through the final corners of the outer course. Through the clubhouse corner, turns 13, then into windup, turn 14, and here is turn 15, and yeah, he's got a good run.
It's on. It is on.
We'll see how he can, if he can reel him in, though. Beauvais got a pretty good run there off the final turn as they cross the stripe right in front of us. About 2 car lengths separate Beauvais and Mattis, so I don't know if he's going to have a shot here.
Now, would you feign to the inside, get Beauvais to move over so he can't come back, and then you try that outside line?
And then you got Winterberg back there saying, you know what, if you guys want to go for it, that's fine. I'll sit back here and wait for you guys to rough it up, and I'll make the move then.
Yeah, absolutely, especially if you get off of the dry line that's developed now, and you know, sometimes it happens. You try for a move, you got a little too much speed going in, and you have to drive a little bit wide. Well, on a dry track, that's not so bad, but on a wet track, it can make a huge difference.
So just an update, we mentioned Michael McLeenan still out front in GTS 4. He is your leader. Tony Colicchio in the 331 is currently leading GTS 3. Peter Spencer in the 89 is out front in GTS 5. And I believe our GTS 2 leader is still the 58 of Dick Hunter. So we're watching the battle here for second, third. 3-car battle, nose to tail, GTS 4. A little bit further back in the field here, John, we see all those white Porsches coming at us here. Yep. Turn number 5.
2 different generations, 997 generation, 996 generation. It's a little hard for us to, unfortunately, we can't see the numbers too well from our venue
I think that's John Allen there in the 59 car. So we see the 83.
That's Ted Barrett.
Of Ted Barrett.
That's a GTS 5 battle. That's Ted Barrett. That's David Levis right there. So they're all trying to secure their positions for GTS 5. That's for 3rd and 4th place in GTS 5.
I think we also see Daryl Troster there in the 414 as well. GTS 4 driver.
So once again, no matter where you are in the field, you still have a great chance for a good battle for position. And these are 2 white Porsches. These look like 2 GT3 Cup cars, a factory race car that Porsche produces for different series around the world. It comes to you already built with a setup book that's about like the Los Angeles phone book, and all kinds of great tricks in those cars. Very equally matched here with power, and you can see 996 or 997 generation, then a 996, and they're all running right together.
Yeah, Ted Barrett there in the 83 leading the group, as you mentioned, with David Levis right behind him in the 124. Battle for GTS 5, and then of course we mentioned the 414 Porsche of Daryl Troster, a GTS 4 driver. And here we go again, back to that battle for second.
Boy, and Winterberg looked like he had a run. Look at Jay Modis. He is all over the back bumper of Scott Beauvais. And here comes Winterberg, though.
Yeah, like I said, Winterberg's just kind of hanging out there waiting for these guys to make a mistake or get to racing, and he's going to try and capitalize. He may make a move here on Modis.
Ooh, that was close.
In turn 5.
That was close.
Modis slides high, Winterberg right there.
Boy.
Does he have enough? He's going to be hung out to dry on the outside here at turn 6.
Or in this case, hung out to wet.
Hung out to wet. Yeah, absolutely. Still some standing water there, and he's going to stay out there.
He's going. He's got him. And now he's going to even challenge Beauvais a little bit.
Turn 7,
whoa.
you can see the standing water still out there, John. This is called Witchcraft, turn 7. And so Winterberg makes the move on Jay Modis, makes
nice
it work,
move.
and now taking a look on Beauvais.
Wow, that was a great move. He just set it up just perfect, slingshotted right by. But also credit to Jay Modis, good heads-up driving, you know, didn't chop him or do anything like that. Knew that he had the ticket there, and he's going to probably be all over him now, because this is a great battle for our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th positions in GTS 4.
Warnerberg there in the number 68, second car in line. Pure Performance BMW ran 3rd and 4th in the qualifying event, so he's had a good car. He's been chasing these guys all week long. Meanwhile, the driver that ran 5th both of the qualifying events, Michael McLennan, he is your leader here in GTS 4.
Pretty good wiggle there from Beauvais going in.
Yeah, and here comes Warnerberg.
Here comes Winterberg. Is he going to get him room? Looks like Winterberg is side by side. Drag race. Jay Modis is taking his own line. 3 wide? Nope. And Winterberg's moving back over. They're side by side. Good heads up, clean driving there.
Yep, and it looks like Beauvais will.
Winterberg got it. That was very smart, because he moved Beauvais over a little bit with his one move, you know, again, allowing enough space, moving over a little bit to get the optimum line and force Beauvais to take a line that wasn't that great and make a decision. Do I take the bad line and keep my speed? Do I back off a little bit and go for a more optimum line? That was a chess game right there. That was some pretty strategic and tactical driving.
So Daniel Winterberg originally started 6th. He was the 3rd GTS 4 car on the grid and is now running in 2nd, as that is the battle again for 2nd and 3rd, the 3-car battle.
And again, BMW, Porsche. Now it's interesting here because you look at Winterberg's car, it's a 4-door. I believe that car started life as a plain old 330i E46 chassis and just completely customized, and then these other 2 more sporty machines, but he's right out there and right in the battle for 2, 3, and 4 in GTS 4.
So we're about 28 minutes into this event, 45 minutes the scheduled distance. Great battles throughout the field as Daniel Winterberg makes the move to take over 2nd, gets by Jay Modis, gets by Scott Beauvais, and that 68 car trying to reel in your leader for GTS 4, Michael McLean. And we're going to take a break. When we come back, more NASA Championships presented by Toyo Tires here at Miller. Welcome back to Miller Motorsports Park. This is the battle for the GTS 5 lead. The 89 out front, Peter Spencer won both the qualifying events. He is your leader as we welcome you back to the 8th annual NASA Championships presented by Toyo Tires. Rob Klepper and John Lindsay with the call off turn 15 down the front straightaway.
Peter Spencer and Steven Strymer there coming to the line. We'll see how far apart they are this lap by. Peter Spencer, that lap ran a 2:01.629. Steven Strymer with a 2:01.694. That's kind of close. I think these guys are pretty well matched here as they battle for 1st and 2nd in GTS 5 in the Porsches.
Yeah, and they were 1-2 both the qualifying events, so it's pretty much been like this all week long for Strymer chasing that yellow car. I want to give a big shout out to all the GTS racers around the country who are watching us live here from Miller Motorsports Park on SpeedcastTV.com. Great battle there for the lead in GTS 5. How about Michael McLean? He's pretty much been leading GTS 4 the entire race, and his lead got up to almost 30 seconds, John. It's dropped down to about 15 seconds.
Well, he may be playing it smart. He's given the car a little bit of a break. 15 seconds is quite a long time. So, you know, just taking it easy right now, and then maybe if he sees those guys get within 8-10 seconds, start turning the wick back up, and you'll have plenty in reserve to be able to close out the finishing part of the GTS 4 race and take home a national championship. So
a good look at the Subway-sponsored 89 of Peter Spencer. And there is Michael McLennan, BMW M3, your GTS 4 leader. You can see on the ticker on the top of your screen where all your favorite drivers are running. Daniel Warnerberg 2nd, Scott Beauvais, Jay Mattis, a great battle for 2nd, 3rd there between those 3 drivers. But McLennan, who has got out John to a huge lead, has fallen back a little bit on time, but still has a pretty good lead. It looks like now about 11 seconds for Michael McLennan on the rest of the GTS 4 cars.
Yeah, somewhere in there, but I don't know if I read it wrong, but at some point it was down to 11, but I think he just stretched it back out while we were sitting here chatting. to 38 seconds ahead of Winterberg and Beauvais, who are still bad, and Modis, who are still battling. So again, we're seeing the case where someone else gets in a dogfight, and all of a sudden you can check out and just run your clean school laps and have a nice clean race.
Yeah, the GTS 5 cars here head back down into turn number 1, known as Sunset Bend, here on the outer course at Miller Motorsports Park. 3.048 miles around, 15 turns. And these guys running a little bit quicker than McLennan. They're reeling them in.
And of course, they were back at the start a little bit, but now all of a sudden it's dried out, the slicks are working, and that Porsche traction where, you know, nice big hunk of metal right over the rear tires. You know, you have to come in a little easy so you don't get that pendulum that swings the rear end out. But once you're planted, boy, you can plant the gas and you've got that motor right over the drive wheels and you are gone.
So again, Peter Spencer using as much track as he can. A reel in McLennan. He's your leader there in GTS 5. And you have all these different German cars to choose from, John. I mean, we're seeing primarily BMWs and Porsches here for this year's NASA Champs. Is that where, when you're going to get into GTS, is that where you start? Do I go BMW? Do I go Porsche? Does that seem where most of the teams are going?
You know, a lot of it is just personal preference. My friend Mark Sigelco from the Midwest region, Great Lakes, he runs an Audi because he's an Audi guy. So he has a four-wheel drive Quattro Audi. That's another valid choice there, and he's been successful with that. But a lot of it is horses for courses. Often a Porsche will have a great advantage on certain kinds of courses, and a BMW will have advantages in others. So it really is kind of what you like. A lot of folks have come to us. They come up through BMW enthusiast ranks, so of course they're going to choose a BMW. Some people have the Porsches and they're Porsche guys, and of course they choose a Porsche. So it really is a lot of just your personal preference, because as we can see, each chassis and each manufacturer works pretty darn well.
Garrett Walls there. This is the battle for, I believe, 4th in GTS 3. Garrett Walls in the 54, just getting by Andrew Morton in the 0 car. Pair of BMWs, an M3 and a 325.
And again, you see kind of the homebrew flavor. The M3, that was the factory hot rod. The 325, you know, that's meant to go, you know, still kind of sporty, but normally just a family car, good commuter car. But you put a little sauce in it, the same tuning parts. You can swap in the parts from the M3 or use stuff from all the mini BMW tuners that are out there, and all of a sudden you got yourself a real hot rod.
Yeah, and Andrew Morton having a pretty good year, ran 3rd and 4th in the qualifying events there in that 0 car in the 325. He's leading the NorCal region as we go back up front for the overall lead, and Peter Spencer in the 89 putting a move on Michael McLennan and makes it work.
And he got a little loose there, though. I think, you know, with a 911 chassis, you have to be real careful that you don't carry too much speed in, stuff the brakes, and then you turn the wheel and that pendulum effect starts to take you around. I think I saw a little of that. He may have come in a little too hot, but he made it work, and now you're seeing that superior power of the GTS 5 car getting him out in front in the overall lead. Now that it's dried out, the Porsches and the GTS 5 cars are able to use all that power, and they're able to get out in front from that big lead that initially was there.
Yeah, they got by Michael McLennan. I believe Strymer got by him as well. So now 1-2 in GTS 5, 1-2 overall on the racetrack. And it looks like Jay Modis has got around Scott Beauvais, and now trying to reel back in Daniel Wernerberg. That is for GTS 4 for 2nd place.
And we're getting word from control that next time our leaders come by, we will have a white flag indicating the final lap of our GTS National Championship race.
So there is the 331. Great looking ride for Tony Colicchio. I believe leader right now for GTS 3.
Very strong performance for Tony. He jumped out to the overall lead. He was 2nd overall, and I actually was 1st overall for a while in the wet. So now it's dried out. You can use the power a little bit more, but wow, what a performance from Tony Colicchio. That was really impressive.
Saw the 63 there, Timothy Bidwell, BMW M3, Arizona regional driver. As the white flag has been displayed now, we will see the checkered next time by for the leaders here in our first national championship race of the day here at Miller Motorsports Park. There is Peter Spencer, the Subway-sponsored number 89, trying for the sweep. Won both the qualifying events and trying to take home the national title here today.
And you can see the track is really dried out. You really have to work to find a piece of slick track right now. So again, it's, it's always a judgment call. You look down, I looked at the radar a few minutes ago, and all the stuff has blown out. It's gone over to the east of us. It was initially passing from the south straight towards us. The winds got it, and all of a sudden it's dry out here and looking good for some of our contests this afternoon.
And he has just been spot on. Once he got clear of kind of some of the GTS 4 cars, had to work through those guys, and then once he got clear, raced his way to the front. And there again, there's Wernerberg.
I think that may have been Tony Colicchio going around. I'm not sure if that was Daniel Winterberg or not. I don't think it was.
Nope.
Because we'd see Jay Modest if we saw Daniel Winterberg.
There is Wernerberg right there.
There it is. Too many orange BMWs, Rob.
A lot of white Porsches and orange BMWs out on the racetrack. Is Jay Modest there right back behind him again.
This is for second and third, GTS 4 coming into the final lap. Ooh, Jay went through the water, risky. But then again, it's dry right after that, so that could cool his tires down a little bit. That may have been a totally strategic move. Checkered flag now for our overall leader in GTS 5.
So Peter Spencer crosses the stripe and will take home the national championship in GTS 5. As everyone continues to finish their lap, Michael McLean still leading GTS 4. Here's that battle again for second between Wernerberg and Jay Modest. Modest taking a look to the inside. Wernerberg shuts the door.
Time for Jay Modest to pull out all the stops right now because they are coming into the final corners of this race.
Last chance right here if you're going to make a move, and he's going to go high, he's going to go low, try a little crossover move, get a run down the front straightaway as they come off turn 15. Here we go. Wernerberg trying to hold on. McLean gets the win, the battle for second as they cross the stripe.
Oh, so close.
Modest does not have enough.
So close, so close. What a great race in GTS 4. Really good job. You see Winterberg there giving a thumbs up to Jay. Great race right down to the last corner for those two guys. Again, showing the parity of the platforms. That was really impressive. All right, well, we're finishing out our race here. All of our classes slowly passing the line there. Not slowly, geez, they're flying. So we have, let's see, that's our battle for, I believe that's our, I think that's battle for fourth in GTS 3. So it's not over till it's over, folks. Look at this, they're still moving, trying to get something done. Battle for fourth there. Garrett Walls looks like. And Dan Goodman. Actually, it's Garrett Walls and Andrew Morton right there. Walls kept him in back there for the finish in GTS 3 and the fourth place finish there in GTS 3. So let's take a quick moment. We'll run down some of our classes here and our podiums. Of course, GTS 5, the Peter Spencer entry there, the Subway-sponsored Porsche, first place in GTS 5. Steven Strymer, second place, the number 02 car in second place for GTS 5. Third place went to David Lavis in GTS 5. GTS 4, of course, we saw Michael McLean and check out there, run a perfect race, first place in GTS 4. Second place, of course, we saw that great battle between Daniel Winterberg and Jay Modest. And third place, of course, to Jay Modest, just could not get that drag race with Daniel Winterberg done off the line. GTS 3, we have Tony Colicchio that ran away from the field there. Expert in the wet racing. Good job by Tony Colicchio to take first in GTS 3. Second place, Stefan Sajic in the number 18 car. Third place in GTS 3 went to Dan Goodman. And finishing up with GTS 2, first place went to Dick Hunter, number 58, followed by Lee Bonning in the second position in GTS 2. So we've closed our first race of Sunday at the NASA National Championships presented by Toyo Tires here at Miller Motorsports Park in Tooele, Utah. Great racing in the GTS class, a little wet racing to begin with, a little strategy coming in there, and then a radical change once it dried out and once everything started to change it up a little bit. Some great battles. We saw GTS 5 there, some really nice work, and also that GTS 4 battle for the second, third, and fourth position was really nice work with Daniel Winterberg, Jay Modest, and Scott Beauvais, all of them fighting hard to try and take that podium in GTS 4. So we're going to take a break for lunch here, and after lunch we'll have more racing for you and some time trials as well. We will have our Performance Touring and Spec Z race coming up as our first group after the lunch break. Then we'll have our Super Touring class, which is one of NASA's premier classes. Power to weight based, all kinds of great cars there. A lot of Corvettes and Mustangs and Vipers and really high horsepower cars. A lot of excitement there. And then we'll finish the day with our time trials. So yesterday we saw a lot of drama there as the storm clouds were coming in, and we had the Team Arizona Pain car that was able to snatch the lead in TTU right at the end there, with all of the other drivers improving their times in that nice cool weather. We'll see if the weather holds. We do have some stuff on the radar coming up from northern Nevada and crossing here into Utah, but we're not sure which way the wind is going to blow. So lots of excitement when we come back from our lunch break here at Miller Motorsports Park.